Hey, welcome to Review Lobstermagnet Review, the channel, the review. We are here to continue our weeb conquest as we discuss episode 8 of the 2017 Berserk anime.
Yeah.
Tell me why, tell me why, tell me what you say. So
Why'd
we
you
did a
cover
little
so
homework.
much content
Oh my god, it's
today
amazing!
in
It's the
this
most ridiculous thing in
episode?
the world. This one episode of like 24 minutes covered fucking
Over
literally half
106
a volume of material from the manga.
is like over 106 pages worth of content in this one episode. It is
It was
insane.
that is ridiculous. Like, yeah, it wasn't the best. I mean, like always, it's good. It's fun to see this material, like, animated in some capacity.
Yeah.
Even though, obviously you want like something that was like the realm of Quilpulif to have like really cool, because it has so many cool designs and fucked up animations. But so I'm happy on that level. Although, yeah, it did feel like really, really rushed, like they were like blowing through this material.
Um on one level though, I feel like this is the kind of material that deserves to be a little bit rushed because I mean the trolls aren't very they aren't the most interesting kind of
No, they're just
adversaries.
like generic horde, and you're just supposed to hate them because they're like so evil and rapey. They kidnap women and they pregnate them, and then their little troll babies like burst out, like alien spawn.
I feel like we could have maybe got a little bit more though between Guts and the God Hand woman. Uh,
Well, it's pretty much exactly how it was in the manga, so you can't complain too much as we want. Like that big. Well, I mean, yeah, you could have done more animating that. I'll give you that,
yeah,
because
because
that's
that
like
could have been a
such a big.
really well animated like fight sequence between the two of them.
It should have felt like more dramatic and more weight than just like, "Hey, sexy, I'm here." Like when a god hand shows up, which would be like super dramatic music. It should be like make like the most epic thing. There should be like a 2-second flashback from like the movie to like remind us of who she is. There's like a billion ways to like make that more dramatic than than it was.
Yeah, um, I mean, I guess yeah, yeah, they could have made it a little bit, a tiny bit more dramatic. I mean, oh man, it's just in some ways though it feels so good to get through this content so fast though because I'm just like yes, let's get to the like really good parts of Berserk
Yeah,
too.
well, I don't know. I wouldn't say this is my least favorite arc. Like, like on a surface level, though, it is the most generic, you know, in terms of story, not necessarily in presentation. I think the amazing artwork of Quilpulith and the Dimension and Ken Moira's like freakish Giger esque stuff, like makes it really visually interesting. Even though this is like a very generic, like the heroes go on a quest and then they save the villagers from bad guys.
Yeah, this is basically the D&D's party's first real adventure.
Yeah, this is the D&D party, like everyone being tested with their strength to see that they're capable. I did like the scene though where the whatchamacallit Shirke is possessed by like the mud monster.
Oh, I don't remember that much.
Remember towards the end she's like, "You will all rot," and then it rots the trolls.
Yeah, but they didn't really expand on that much in the episode at all. That I feel like maybe they could have stretched that out to an you know in between towards another episode as well.
Yeah,
Actually,
there was like, if you wanted, you could have gotten like 2 to 3 episodes out of this material. There was definitely enough for that. It definitely feels like it's like
it's kind of
really.
funny. Like usually we complain about like anime stretching out episodes, stretching out manga material. This is just like the opposite, like the very polar opposite of that.
Yeah, it's like going through it too fast. Well, I don't know. It's like basically handing over like the best written piece to like of Shakespeare, manga Shakespeare to like Brett Ratner to direct, but he's not. Thankfully, they're not rewriting it. They're just like kind of like making poor choices with the material in terms of like framing it and shooting it and presenting it. but it is still the same material, even if it's like super rushed.
Yeah. In the manga, I feel like that whole scene with the God Hand showing up, uh, they could have really taken advantage of that. They could have really stretched that out in terms of dramatic effect in the manga, even. You know?
What do you mean with Slan showing up, the girl with the God Hand?
Yeah. I feel like she could have had a little bit more. There could have been a little bit more plot significance
He could
thrown in
have,
there.
but like the God Hand is like the highest level of Berserk, and like I feel like Kentaro has like a really big plan, and he doesn't want to like have them like show up too often, and he always wants to make them very mysterious. So that when they do actually like start to move, although they don't really move since they're like these transcendental beings that don't really seem to have like a plan or any evil, which kind of makes them like 10 times more frightening than any other supervillain, because you don't really know what they want. You will never know what they want. And their existence is like so intrinsically bind with the fabric of the universe. You can't really fight them.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that you basically summed up the appeal to the villains in Berserk. That's definitely true.
Like the more human level villains, like the Gishinka guy, the head of the cushions, but then like the true
Human.
master villains. Yeah, human, exactly, with like as much asterisks as you can put in. But he's human in the sense that, like, he just wants to conquer and impregnate the princess and rule over the lands. And, he has very sort of relatable and understandable goals, while we have no idea what Void or Slan or, the other God Hand want. They are completely unknowable. They don't have some sort of evil master plan. They don't want to control everything. They're omnipotent deities that are fourth dimensional plane beings that are on a level that even the most storied magic users can barely understand or comprehend.
Even the most stored magic users.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Flora and the old guys in Elfhelm. Even them, they're like a mystery that is bonded to like the fate of the universe that is like so entrenched. And the level above them is the idea of evil, which is the gigantic pulsing heart of Berserk that Kentaro, like later on, he like retracted that chapter because he said it explained too much of like the central theme and gave too much away. But of course, you can still find it on the internet.
Oh. So that's a retracted chapter?
He literally said like he shouldn't have published that. He gave away too much in that like one chapter, and like it's been struck from all like future publications of Berserk.
Wow. I'm surprised. Interesting. Yeah, I even wonder sometimes if the God Hand, besides Griffith, even have any like particular goals that they want to accomplish.
I don't think so. I don't think they really care. I just think they
They
make
like fucking
apostles.
shit up for random
Yeah,
reasons.
they make apostles when apostles are ready to be made through the fate of causality, and I don't think they have a plan. They're just like these extra dimensional beings who,
They're beyond
whatever they're
goals. They're
doing is
beyond
so
everything.
far beyond our human comprehension that, like, for all we know, they just sit around and abstract pieces of art, art all day. They're less like villains as much as Guts wants to like feel like he can kill them and get revenge. That it's like killing them is like, how do you kill an idea like communism?
Yeah. It's like
Fighting them is like fighting communism.
fighting them is fighting an idea.
Or Islam. Islam is an idea. And like, as much as, you could say, oh, Islam's bad or whatever, and Islam's led to so many terrorism. Like, if you were just to go on this genocidal rampage and like say, like, we're getting rid of Islam forever, you can't kill it, because it's an idea that passes from generation to generation. It's an idea that is in the minds of a billion people, and you really can't. There's like no direct source. You can bomb Mecca, you could destroy physical artifacts, but the idea of Islam is so powerful that you can't really do anything against it.
I kind of lost track of what you're saying when you went onto your Islam rant. But I mean, hopefully it's not going to offend like a jillion people when you say that. I mean,
well, I got another problem with Islam. Islam is a religion of peace. Most Islamic people are nice, but I'm just saying, like, if you Islam is like, maybe Islam wasn't the best analogy, but I'm trying to think of like some sort of abstract thing that is like an idea that you can't like really destroy, that you can't fight against.
I think I got the gist of what you're saying.
Everyone can like get behind, white supremacism. Everyone hates white supremacism, right?
Yeah.
But how do you kill white supremacism?
Wow. Exactly. It's like, or about Nazism. Nazis.
Well,
I guess it's the same thing, right?
Yeah, I guess they kind of fall into the same trap. Like, you could destroy the empire, but the ideas of the Aryan nation and, that white people should feel special and superior is like so strong and still persists to this day, tragically.
Yeah.
Well, it's not quite the same level as like the God Hand, but it's like, very something that's almost impossible.
Maybe that's what the God Hand represent. They represent like they want to spread like they each represent like a sin from like mankind or something, and they want that sin to like proliferate throughout mankind. So they do underhanded things to like make sure that people are sinning in the way that attributes to their powers and stuff.
I don't think so, but like, no, that's like way too direct. And it's also been implied that all the God Hand were once human, and that like every 250 whatever years, a new one is chosen. So you could say that like maybe it's like building up to something like that. Maybe there's like 6 or 7 God Hands that are needed or whatever before the end of the universe. Or maybe it's just something that continues on forever to the fate of causality.
Well, maybe there's a significance of why they're called God Hands. They each represent the God's finger. So
that is an idea that a dumber person would put versus, Kentaro Muera. But God Hand, that's as good of a villainous organization name as you could ever ask for.
I mean, you think about like the visual symbology of when Griffith transforms first into a God Hand, he is wrapped into a fist, like a giant fist, along with the other God Hands. Do you remember this part? Remember the visual?
Vaguely, I'd have to look it up. So what does this fist represent, Greg?
I think it represents maybe a god's fist.
Okay, Greg, you go over and write your thesis statement on that. PhD on media studies. The God Hand is really significant because they are literally God's hand. Because when they become a God Hand, they become a fist. And that's why they're called the God Hand. By Greg Lanzera.
Yeah. That would be my thesis. I
don't think you can get your PhD unless it's from DeVry. I'm sure they'd give it to you just for, like, showing up.
Look, I don't know when it comes to Berzerk, like, these kinds of answers, but I like to dream sometimes of like what they could be,
Don't we all? I mean, it would be fun to like get Kentaro to like come explain everything, although I'm sure he's like probably very difficult to like reach.
I hope he doesn't like die before his series
that
finishes.
Would suck so much if he dies before. Well, you know what I really liked? Did you ever? I tried to make you remember that spin-off manga he did where it was like the future with that wrestler guy?
I remember that.
Attica.
They're in the desert with this little girl.
Did you ever see the point where it like becomes like a giant robot?
No, I only saw that one chapter.
Oh, you should read the whole thing. It's like only one volume's worth of content, but there's like this awesome scene where like the wrestler guy it's revealed that like the wrestler guy fuses with like the girl to become like this giant mecha, and he like battles this thing, and it's like just this amazing, awe-inspiring scene.
Okay.
It's so fucking cool. It's so fucking cool.
Maybe you'll have to show me that later.
Yeah, I'll send you a link. It was kind of okay, but then that moment was like so cool. I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. I love it. Make this anime.
I'd say, sorry, getting off track, but I was thinking of like what I would rate this Berserk episode.
I don't know. I think maybe like 7 out of 10.
I was gonna say that exactly. Actually, 7 out of 10.
Because
Like, I really did like the part. It was like, even though it was kind of short, it was like almost. It was a good short and sweet like beginning and end to like the God Hand fight a little bit. Like when he stabs her and then she's just like falls to the ground.
Yeah. And then you get the Skull Knight, and he like fights gigantic ogre penis
and he
monsters.
shows the big blade and stuff.
He just like starts carrying his way through dimensions, and you're like, "Oh my god, this is so cool!"
You finally get to see like what he's doing with swallowing all those behemoths. However you pronounce them.
Behemoths.
Behemoths.
I think that's how you pronounce it.
What? Yeah. Or whatever. Those egg things. He's swallowing the egg things to form an interdimensional sword that can slice through dimensions.
Yeah. That about sums it up. It's pretty fucking badass.
We get some inkling of what the Skull Knight is when God Hand calls him king.
Yeah.
So he's a former king, maybe?
It's always been implied that there's this legend of, like, this Germanic king who fought against, like, the Five Angels, and it's strongly implied that he's the Skull Knight, but that is yet to be confirmed.
Okay.
And that, like, he's somehow fused with, like, the Berserker armor, and he's just, like, lived all these hundreds of years fighting the god, this endless war against the God Hand.
Beautiful.
God, I love Skull Knight. Skull Knight's the best.
Skull Knight is a fucking legend.
I would love, like, just a full backstory on the Skull Knight and just learn more about him, but there's like a lot of good material in this episode from the half of volumes of good material, which is kind of like blown through really quickly.
Yeah. But anyway.
But so, like, it was good material, not covered very well. Not the best adaptation, but,
And, of course, the CGI. Can't forgive the CGI.
Can't forgive the CGI. The trolls look terrible.
Yeah.
But, as longtime Berserk fans, it's great to see this material, adapted in some form. Mm-hmm. It makes us feel validated. And just like Guts, his seal is, like, bleeding horribly. Our seals burn a little bit as we see the material, but we're like, we still push through, and we're still happy because it keeps the Berserk legacy alive.
Exactly. Well said.
And who knows, maybe we'll see some Serpico and Farnze cosplay now.
Maybe.
Because you never really see any of the, like, I've never seen a Shirke cosplay. I've never seen, God, what's the little kid's name?
Ishidora.
Yeah, I've never seen Ishidora. I've never seen, any of the latest Berserk stuff, people doing cosplay of it. Like, God.
It's kind of interesting. Maybe I could go into this a little bit, but does it feel like Berserk is trying to...
What did you say, Greg?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, well, you were breaking up a little bit, but go on.
Oh, okay. So, it's kind of interesting. You said you never seen any cosplay of, any of these characters in Berserk. But at this point in the story, I feel like Berserk is like... It's like sort of trying to transition from a less super dark fantasy story and more into like adventuring party kind of happier story.
It is true. It definitely, there's a huge tonal shift in this part where, like, it's less of like a grounded dark fantasy and becomes more of like a typical adventure storyline as Guts learns, like, that was the big part. It was like, I can have friends now. I'm not going to be a super edgelord douchebag anymore. Maybe these people are actually helping me out. This isn't terrible. I'm not stuck with my horribly disabled girlfriend anymore, or at least I can have people I can rely upon.
And I kind of wonder, like, how many, like, kids are actually gonna like read through all of Berzerk and like try and decipher like through all the crazy troll rape and mutilitions of children and all that stuff. Like, well, they'll find a cute character they want to cosplay as.
This anime is not made for like younger audiences. I can't imagine like it's gonna like draw them in like Sword Art Online.
That's what I'm thinking. I feel like it's trying, like at this point in the story, it's almost trying to appeal to a younger audience, but it's like,
yeah, I guess you could say that in a way. It does feel like,
but it's like kind of fucked up because the story is already so tainted with how fucked up everything that happened before it was.
Yeah, it's funny. You have all these like lighter elements, but there's still troll rape and poor women who's like are screwed until they either burst forth with little troll babies, or they're just thrown aside where they're eaten by all these like transcendental entities.
Yeah, and you're sort of wondering to yourself like, is he trying to appeal? Who is he trying to appeal to now in this manga?
No, I think he's just doing it for himself. He's the strongest fantasy manga, and he's just making the strongest fantasy manga. I don't feel like any editor said it like, Myra, all right, no more of this dark shit. We need kids. We need
Puck. We need Puck's companion now.
Puck's been there from the beginning, but we need a little kid. That's what we need to make Berzerk work. We need a little kid who can like admire Guts, because a surrogate kid for all the kids who are reading this at home and just love Guts. And they that's what he's like. He's like the Scrappy Doo. They have Scrappy Doo who looks up to Scooby Doo. That's what Isidora is going to be. We need a lolly. We need a lolly mage girl, because like, there's lots of money to be made in lolly figurines, and people.
Oh God!
Yeah. Well, I don't think any of that happened, and
it's kind of weird.
We need like a guy who has a magic sword. I know you don't want to give Guts a magic sword. I'll give you that, but you need to give like another character a magic sword. Okay? You want to do Serpico? Fine, whatever.
I wish someone could break this down for me better. Like the kind of, he's like going for like this strange tonal shift, I feel, at this point in the story, where it's like he's trying to broaden the audience a little bit, but
I don't think he is, though, because like all the usual berserkiness is all there. It's just now that Guts has some friends who can back him up.
I guess so. He doesn't really, I feel like he doesn't really have to appeal to anybody. He could just make his own story, which, you get the sense that he is, but it's not like if you were to say like, what's the story trying to appeal to now? It's like he's sort of just like experimenting, I feel, a little bit, where he's like trying to introduce like cutesy characters along the same like lines as like of all this like horrific rape and mutilation as well. It's kind of I don't know.
He's definitely experimenting in the sense that like he has a traditional adventuring party, but the thing is that like it feels earned. Like these characters didn't appear out of nowhere; they all evolved organically. Serpico and Farnze have been around for like 2.5 arcs, give or take. They feel earned. Isidoro, we've seen, his arrival has been earned. The fact that he's saddled with Casca, and it's demonstrated like why things will be bad if it's just him and Casca. Also makes it feel earned for like Farnze to kind of evolve into that role of a caretaker. So it has changed in a sense, considering he's been a loner for so long. But it doesn't feel like none of these characters feel like Poochie the dog. You ever watch The Simpsons, Reg?
Oh, yes, I know what you're talking about. Just the super cool, cool for.
It was like the ultimate '90s character. It was like designed to be a parody of like cool insert characters.
Okay, well, one more thing I want to say about it is like they feel like they are so like established right now as an adventuring party that is sort of like protected by plot armor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I will give you that. Like, it feels like nothing really bad is going to happen to them.
Exactly.
Like, they're
In
just
a
gonna,
manga
like,
that's like so brutal like before, and like killing all of Guts' friends and stuff, and how he lost his eye and his arm, and Casca is like severely destroyed mentally.
well, remember that was only one incident. Before then, Guts was like, killing everything mostly. I mean, maybe he'd get a little bruised, but he had plenty of plot armor.
Yeah, I guess, but I can't help but feel like because of the plot armor that these characters have now, that which you get it right away. Like as soon as like Shrieky like introduces the whole giving them each like individual magical weapons and then using them full effectiveness against the enemies, you feel like at that point it's just like, okay, yeah, they probably nothing's bad is going to happen to these characters. They're just kind of like going through a D&D kind of fun adventure at the moment.
Yeah, you could say that. Like, sort of the sense of danger and stakes is, greatly diminished a little bit by it. But I think you've seen so much sorrow and bad things that it feels earned. That like Guts gets a little reprieve with the power of friendship, more so than it would be in another series.
I guess, yeah, that's fair. I do sort of wish later on in the manga something bad will happen.
You want Serpico to lose an arm, or Shrieky to something bad to happen to Shrieky?
I think something terrible is going to happen to his party. I really hope so, because it'll bring back that old horrible feeling that Guts had with like building up his friendship with his Nakama and stuff like that, and then it all shatters again. It's just like one man's journey fighting through like such despair and everything. That's what really makes Berzerk the kind of manga that it is, I feel.
You want Casca to get her mind back, and then she gets killed or some shit. That would be fucked up.
Something along those lines. Like, I feel like there needs to be another tragedy for Guts to get into Guts mode again.
Well, we'll see. Because half the point is Guts mode isn't bad. It's just this all-consuming beast that'll kill everything, and brings out the worst in him. And that for Guts to evolve, he needs to move beyond that.
Right.
And there is part of me that wonders if the end of Berzerk will be basically Guts learning. Griffith makes this incredible society. It's a utopian world, and then Guts is like, yeah, all right, fine, I give up.
Yeah, it's like I have too many friends I want to protect. I gotta be a kind-hearted individual that can forgive people, or something like that.
Exactly, something that feels kind of lame, but you're like, yeah, okay. The anti-Afro samurai.
He's gone through so many hardships in the past, and he's just like, I really like these people. I want to protect them and all that stuff. And
power of friendship.
Maybe what's his name? The guy who's gonna be. Oh yeah, spoiler alert for manga. I guess anybody who's watching this probably read the manga anyway, though. But what's his name? Training into the mountains with
Oh yeah. Ricker.
Maybe he's gonna go Berzerk mode in a few years, and he's gonna.
I'm looking forward to seeing badass Ricker in a few years' time.
I am too. I'm really excited for that. Really looking forward to that.
And he uses his science powers to invent really badass weapons with the Prince of Persia's ninja clan.
Exactly.
That would be cool. But all right, I think we covered. There's a lot in this episode. We covered a lot of it, and 7 out of 10 for me. Greg, do you agree with that, or you want to do another score for yourself?
Absolutely, 7 out of 10.
Covered a lot of material. We're happy to see it, even if it isn't the best interpretation of that material.
Yep.
Full impregnation and belly bursting deserves, the best treatment it can get.
I agree.
All right, so keep fighting against the laws of causality, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right, see you then.
Remember, like, comment, and subscribe.